You know, when I was introduced to this industry 25 years ago, for the first 2 years I failed because I thought I was smarter than the business. I didn't pay attention to people like Nathan Ricks. I didn't pay attention to the person that you're about to hear from next. Fortunately, I was able to find a mentor who changed my perspective. That's what's so magical about this weekend. These are individuals who it's not about the income they've made, it's about the mentorship that they provide. And I think that all of them individually, if you were to walk up to them, you know, during the breaks or during a private moment, all of them would say that they have one thing in common. They had great mentors who allowed them to flourish. And that's what this is all about, giving you an opportunity to flourish in their mentorship so that you will one day change and impact the lives of others. As we get ready to bring up this next individual, he really is an icon in the industry. 25 years ago when he started, he became the #1 income earner in his very first year in that company. And he has held that title and that position for 25 years. He has built an income over that time in excess of $80 million and continuing to grow every single year. He has an organization that now spans 20 countries, but it's not about the income he's earned, it's about the good that he does because he takes it beyond. His focus and commitment is mentoring and coaching and inspiring others who aspire to create change and greatness in their life as well. But he also goes beyond our profession. And he's extremely philanthropic, supporting organizations like Make-A-Wish Foundation and cancer societies and organizations that are making a difference for children. But most of all, it's great to have him here because he's here to now help make a difference for you in your life. And it's that time. As we always do, we're going to bring him to the stage the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, please get on your feet in a network marketing pro way. Please make some noise and bring him to the stage. Your next mentor and coach, the man himself, Mr. Jeff Roberti.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Are you ready? You guys have been sitting for a while. Let's have everybody stand back up again, if you would, and get at least 5 hugs and kisses from your GoPro family here. Okay. All righty. Now, how many of you would like to have to come up here right now and follow Nathan Ricks? You know, I saw an article not too long ago, and it listed the top 10 fears that people have in life. And what do you think the #1 fear is? Public speaking. And as I read down the list, number 7 was dying. People would rather die than speak in public. So I see a lot of ladies in the room as well, a lot of hair in the room. And I got another article that I was reading in the Wall Street Journal. It was out not too long ago, and it said in the United States, or excuse me, in North America, over 80% of the wealth is controlled by women. And as I read down, and it says, and they have easy access to the other 20%. Well, my name's Jeff Roberti. I'm from Sarasota, Florida. And unlike Nathan, I do not have a college education, did not come from a wealthy family, didn't have a lot of background or skills when I came into this business, but showed up with a really good work ethic, a burning desire. How many of you consider yourself that you have a really good work ethic, no matter what you were doing? Whether I was cleaning pools, waiting tables, mowing lawns, working construction, I was always the best at what I did. And, you know, when I got introduced to this, I come from like I said, not a wealthy family. I'm the oldest of 3 boys. And I showed up with that work ethic, that desire, that willingness to work, and being very teachable. But, you know, showing up at 24 years old as an ex-broke waiter. Has anyone ever waited tables before? Has anyone ever been broke before? You can relate to that one. Well, I found myself where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sick and tired of being behind on my bills in life, my promises in life, to myself, to my friends, to my family. And I guess the word I'm looking for is I was dissatisfied. And you know, sometimes people come into this business, you know, they either come into this business through inspiration or desperation. They're enlightened or they're frightened. When I started, it was desperation. I was looking for some things to change in my life financially. And I'll never forget, I met this guy named Jim Rohn. Anybody heard of a guy named Jim Rohn? The late, great Jim Rohn said to me, he said, Jeff, for things to change, you've got to change. And for things to get better, you've got to get better. He said, you can have more in life if you become more in life. And not to see things the way they are, but the way they can become. I personally believe this is a course in personal development cleverly disguised as a business. As you grow, your business grows. I came up with a little catchy one. It's 2 words here. Grow me, serve you. That's 4 words, excuse me. Growth and contribution. So you work on yourself more than your products, more than your opportunity. It's the you part. So when I got started in the business, I'll never forget, I went to, you know, I was so broke. They used to have a commercial back then when I started back in '87. It said, the American Express card, don't leave home without it. Anybody remember that commercial? Well, they called me up and said, Jeff, do leave home without it. We were so broke, we went to Kentucky Fried Chicken to lick other people's fingers. So a friend of mine had shared with me, that one's funny, I'll keep that one. Let me put a little star next to that one there, guys. A friend of mine came to me and he said, you know, he had shared, I was living in this little apartment in Siesta Key, Florida, and was just struggling and, you know, and couldn't figure out, you know, I always had that great work ethic, but never had found the right vehicle. And he had shared with me a product. I became a customer first. I saw merit and value in the product. And then he said, Jeff, there's an opportunity if you want to go out and share this product and build a business. Well, my sponsor at the time had been in the business for, I guess, 2.5, 3 years, and he quit my very first month. He went to another company, thought the grass was greener on the other side of the fence, didn't realize it's still got to be mowed, right? You still got to retail, you still got to recruit, you still got to build relationships. But he prejudged what this 24-year-old ex-broke waiter was going to do. So you never know who that next person is. It could be a Nathan Ricks. It could be a Jeff Roberti. It could be an Eric Worre. It could be some of the stories that you've heard. So for some of you that have been in it for a while and it hasn't happened for you yet, the first good one's the hardest one to get. Then it seems like the second and third start to happen much quicker for you. So for me, my very first meeting that I went up to Tampa, Florida, and I saw average people earning these above average incomes. And then there was a conference coming up that month up in Asheville, North Carolina at the Grove Park Inn. Anybody ever heard of this place? And I remember I wanted to go to this conference, but I didn't have the money for the plane ticket, and I didn't have the money for the hotel. And I remember all excuses are equal. You know, Jeff, you can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. And I remember driving up to that conference, sleeping in my car, working out in the gym, taking a shower, putting the one suit on that I had, that skinny little red tie, sitting in the front row, hearing the stories. And I was moved emotionally. And I left that conference. I remember getting in the car, driving home from North Carolina back to Sarasota. And I was crying these tears of joy. And I thanked the good Lord. I said, thank you, God, for answering my prayers. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'll never forget where I came from. Why am I here tonight? To pay it forward. It's out of inspiration, not desperation. That's why I'm here tonight. So I remember coming home from that. You know, we tear up that list of excuses. You're too young. You don't have any experience. You don't have any education. You know, this is not, you know, your sponsor quits. All these excuses. And I remember, sitting down, and one of the best recruiting tools you can have in this business is a mirror. And I remember saying, you know what? Don't look up line. Don't look down line. Look in the mirror. If it's to be, it's up to me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to work on myself. And I'm going to lead by example. Be the best distributor in my organization. You know, the type of person that inspires yourself, that inspires other people. Employing yourself, holding yourself accountable, having very high standards. And I went to work and I started sharing a product, sharing an opportunity with consistency of discipline on the paying activities over and over and over again. And anything you do consistently long enough, you get better and better at doing it. I'll never forget, I met a guy named Zig Ziglar. Anybody heard of a good old boy named Zig? Zig said to me, he said, Jeff, if you help enough other people get what they want out of life, you'll have everything you want out of life. So my focus was not on me. My focus was on going out there and caring more about the customers and the results they got more so than the income I was earning. The focus was helping those new distributors, getting off to a fast start and helping them. And you go into a relationship to give, not to get. You're not measuring what you get in return. People don't care how much you know until what? They know how much you care. So I went into the business, and with some of these things that I understood, I started leading by example and building the business here in the United States. I started in Florida, then I went across the United States and worked in all the different states, Canada, then I went over to Europe, and I've been now in over 25 countries that I've opened. Personally gone in there and set up leadership. Always stayed in the recruiting and the building mode, the production stage. Never fell into the management stage. And today, I've made my fortune. But today, it's out of inspiration, not out of desperation. I decided long ago, I was telling Jordan over here, I decided long ago to retire into my business, not from my business. And the reason is because somebody sitting here in this room tonight, it's your grand opening. It's your kickoff. It's your chance. It's your dreams. And I'll never forget what it meant to me when somebody shared this with me. A chance to make a difference. A chance to be part of something bigger than yourself. A chance to be part of something that's mission-driven, cause-oriented, a movement. I loved what Eric was talking about earlier tonight, about the why part. You know, there's two parts to our business, guys. The first part is the science of achievement, where you achieve and you produce and you build. The second part of our business is what I call the art of fulfillment. The art of fulfillment, where you have something that there's meaning and purpose. Something that you know, life's not about me, life's about we. Where you've got something that you get emotional and spiritual revenue from. Our business is rich in relationships, love and connection, growth, contribution, all these needs. So I remember saying, you know what? To stay in this business and to keep paying it forward. Not to be a selfish leader and have your fortune and sit in your ivory tower on the beach, but no, to keep paying it forward. Keep making a difference. Keep making an impact. My huge why in the beginning, Eric, was this. When I was a young kid, my father died at an early age. He had a massive heart attack. I got a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning. No second chance. Worst day of my life. But I turned the worst day of my life into the best day of my life. Because it's not what happens, it's what you do with what happens. It's not the event, it's the meaning you give it. And this was my driving force. I give it all back today. The 80 million, the 4 million plus a year, the hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in commissions, to have got my own father on a great product, a nutritional product. For those of you who are in the wellness industry, that's what I focus on, is I'm in the wellness business. And it just might have saved his life. So today, it's not an opportunity, it's a responsibility. When you know what you know, whether your product or your service, how you feel about it. So for me, I took that as a driving force. My why, my other big why was this. And maybe some of you can relate to this. I remember as a kid sitting in the back seat of my mom's car. And she would drive us someplace. Like I said, I'm the oldest of 3 boys. My mom was a very proud mother, but her car wasn't the nicest car. It had some rust on it. It had some dings, and you could feel people talking. She acted like it didn't bother her, but I knew deep down inside it did. And I remember saying to myself, Jeff, if someday, if I could, I would, I'd like to help my mother and father. If I could, I would, I'd like to help my grandparents. If I could, I would, I'd like to help my favorite charities. If I could, I would. So my why in the beginning, guys, was this. My first car that I bought, after having a little bit of success, after investing back into the business and building it and burning that midnight oil and putting in those 10, 15, 20-hour work days, the first car I bought was the car of my mother's dreams. And thank you. And without her knowing, by the way, I found out that my mother had really expensive taste. And without her knowing, I went out and bought this car for her, paid cash for it, put in all the bells and whistles, every option you could put in. Hey, if you're going to shoot a king, kill him. Don't wound him, right? If you're going to do it right. And I remember getting, the gas card for her and paying for the insurance. And she's up in the mountains up north and had the car sitting out there on Christmas morning. And the morning dew's on the car and there's a big bow on the hood. And my mom comes out. And she doesn't know the car's out there and it's Christmas morning. She comes to the door. I hand her the keys. She sees the car. I tell her how much I love her. And I see these tears of joy flowing down my mother's face. I thought I was the one that was giving, I was the one that was receiving. And I think about that why in the beginning. That was what was driving me to do that. I mean, how many of you would like to be able to do that for your mother? How many mothers would like your son to do that for you? Better question. I remember I had my mom at a conference not too long after that, maybe 5, 10 years after that, and she had heard, I got to acknowledge her in front of 5,000 people at the conference. And I remember after the conference, she goes, Jeffrey, by the way, that's what your mother calls you when you're in trouble. She goes, Jeffrey Douglas, I wish you wouldn't tell that story. You make us sound like we were so poor. And by the way, that car's now almost 10 years old. And it's a 2-wheel drive, and it's a little slippery in the winter. And she said, and by the way, you only have one mother. I said, well, thank God I can't afford 2 the way this is going. So I share that story with you because Eric was talking about finding what the why is. Hey, you can have something that's results-focused, knowing what you want, but it's got to be purpose-driven. Then you put together your massive action plan. I'm the type of guy, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to take massive action. Fully engaged, fully immersed. And if you're going to do it, give it a good yes or a good no. And lead by example. The dad's story I shared with you, my mom's story. The other thing I want to share with you is this. Relationships. Our business is rich in relationships. Long-term relationships equal long-term success. Some of my top people, I've been in one company for 27 years. Some of my best friends, the best relationships. and my best friends on the planet are people that I've shared this product or shared this opportunity with. Long-term relationships. Like I said, a relationship is a place where you go to give, not get. You know, I always joke with people, I got two hobbies in the business: collecting friends and collecting money. That one's not as funny. Let me scratch that one. But our business is rich in relationships. Other leaders in my company that are not engaged, I tell them, I said, look, guys, when you love what you do and you get to add value to people's lives, success without fulfillment is failure. I said, you're over here with the money, but you're missing out on all the relationships, the emotional and spiritual revenue, all the love and connection in our business. Love is the oxygen of the soul, to care about another person. Like Nathan said, people that are in it for just the money and they're all about hype and they're not focused on other people's needs, it's like trying to put a square peg into a round hole. They don't last in our industry. They don't last. It doesn't work in our business. I told you, people don't care how much you know until what? They know how much you care. People also may forget what you say, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. I'm big on creating experiences. Creating an experience for these people that's meaningful to them, whether it's a result with your product or immediate results in the business. We might market our product or services, but you know what we really market? Hope. I market hope, dreams, sign here, win here. I believe in you. Not you go do it, let's do it together. And lock arms with that person. And equal commitment for equal commitment. Not I make a move or two moves and you don't make any moves. In other words, it's like a chess game. I move, you move. But you know what? It's so nice to be able to show up and shine that beacon of light, of hope on people that are looking for something in life that's positive, that they can go out and make a difference, make an impact. A lot of people sitting at home watching CNN, constant negative news, and they're paralyzed in fear. And you show up with this breath of fresh air. Not only a product, but an opportunity. I'm just as passionate about the opportunity as I am the product. Personal growth. I told you this is a course in personal development, cleverly disguised as a business. The law of the universe, guys, you're either growing or you're dying. You're either climbing or you're sliding. Let me ask you a question. By raise of hands, aren't you the most happiness when you're growing? Isn't there the most happiness in your life as you grow? Growth equals happiness. It's one of the spiritual needs. When I leave here, I go to spend a week with a guy named Tony Robbins. Anybody heard of Tony? Well, Tony is a guy that shows up in a peak resourceful state. Tony's the type of guy that will take somebody that has a limiting belief, a story that's holding them back in life, and give them a compelling future, a breakthrough, transformational, so they can step up and be outstanding. He talks about C-A-N-I, constant and never-ending improvement in all areas of your life. Spiritual, relationships, emotional. All these different areas of your life, constant, never-ending improvement. I remember when Jim Rohn said, he goes, Jeff, when you're this broke waiter climbing the mountain, there's going to be all this growth. He said, but to continue to grow when you have success, to keep growing is going to be the biggest challenge, because a lot of people stay at the table of success too long. Celebrate. Let me ask you a question. If I had in one hand a briefcase with $1 million in it, and the other briefcase I had the skills of the type of person you'd have to become to earn the $1 million, which one would you take? The skills every time. If you're green, you grow. If you're ripe, you rot. That's not funny either. I'll leave that one alone. Contribution, making a difference. Paying it forward, emotional and spiritual revenue. The Bible says, find a way to serve the many, for service to the many leads to greatness. Having something that matters beyond yourself, where you have something that you can just take it and go beyond yourself. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because it's getting late. I do want to talk about this, though. I'm going to skip over a couple things here. By the way, this is what I train out of, guys. I don't know if you got a camera. A journal. I use a journal, and I take notes in a journal, and I take notes. And here I'll give you $1 million secret tip. Take notes this weekend, not as if you're taking notes for yourself, but take notes as if you're going to teach it to someone else. The fastest path to mastery in life is application to yourself, but teaching it and paying it forward. How many of you, by a round of applause, are committed to taking notes at that level? Let's hear it. So what I'm trying to say is, as a leader, as leaders in this company, some of you are new, but the leaders in this room, my message to you would be, stay in the recruiting mode, not the management mode. You know, stay in the engagement, not the entitlement. Be an inspirational leader, not a managerial leader. I always tell people, watch the feet, not the lips. Great question to ask yourself. Remember, I told you the #1 recruiting tool in this business is what? A mirror. Ask yourself this: would you follow you? Are you the type of person that you would follow? Your work ethic, your DMO, your consistency. Are you the type of person that you would follow? Another great question to ask yourself would be this: what would I have to do to make this business more important to me? What would I have to do to make this business more important? If you treat it like a hobby, you're going to earn hobby income. If you treat it like a business, you've got a chance to build something that could make you a fortune. I believe that if somebody rolls up their sleeves, goes to work in a 3 to 5 year period, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme like Nathan was talking about. Hey, look, it's a simple business, but it's not an easy business. You've got to have the discipline, the consistency of effort, work habits, attitude. And you know where the transformation starts? You've got to transform you first. Inspire yourself so you can inspire other people. Become an attractive person so you can attract others. You want to show up in a peak resourceful state when you go to talk to somebody. You know, how you do anything in life is how you do everything in life. You want to be the type of person that somebody says, wow, that is inspiring. Success breeds success. I'll give you a couple nuggets. I'm very, very focused on retailing to recruit, to lead with a product or a service. But I also want to recruit and build a team. Conversion, recruiting somebody and getting them immersed into your culture. Conversion equals retention. Repetition equals integration. Couple nuggets there. 3 things that I do consistently every day. #1, feed the mind. What are you reading? What are you listening to? Who do you spend time with? Who you spend time with is who you become. Some of my friends, they were negative and always trying to hold me back, and I had to leave some of those friends behind. Feed the mind, condition the body, and connect spiritually every day. The other 3 things that I focus on consistently building the business is #1, putting other people's needs ahead of your own. Their needs, adding value to their lives, and creating raving fan relationships. Their needs, adding value, creating these raving fan relationships consistently. I also believe that when you get to what you consider a finish line, a position in your company, the finish line becomes your new starting line. Finish line, starting line. We have in our company, we have a position called marketing director. And I see people come across the stage and they share the story and who they've become and the growth, and some of them celebrate and they think they're finished. I'm like, no, the finish line's the starting line. Always stretching yourself, getting out of your comfort zone in uncharted waters, always stretching and becoming more consistently. Look, today concepts are constant. Eric talked about concepts. The concepts are constant. The basics and the fundamentals are the same. Sharing a product, sharing an opportunity, telling a story. Techniques can vary. There's different means and ways. Today, social media seems to be a technique that people are using, especially the Gen Y crowd. But there's different techniques that you can use, different means and ways. When I started back in '87, there was no three-way calling. There was no internet. I mean, you know, there was different techniques, but the concepts were constant. Couple more I'll touch on. I believe the number one reason people succeed in our business, personally, is the word belief. You've got to get sold on it yourself first. There's no step 2 unless step 1 is in place. If you don't believe in your product or your service, it's really hard to go out there and build a successful business. You can build it on sand, but not on rock, not on a solid foundation. You want to become a product of the product, a service of your service, whatever that is. You want to become a satisfied customer. And because we market our products by word of mouth, one satisfied customer to another. In other words, the longest journey in life is from the head to the heart. You want to have that emotional sincerity where you're talking to somebody and you have that voice of authority. You come from a position of strength where you're bulletproof, where you have that confidence. And where that passion and that congruency comes from is from you believing in your product. It's not what you say, it's how you feel about what you say. People communicate more with feelings than they do words. Wouldn't you agree with me on that? People communicate more with the feelings. So when you have that passion, that enthusiasm, that emotional sincerity, that congruency about what you're doing, then it's easy to go out there and share something. You know, you can't lead until what? You believe. It becomes not an opportunity, it becomes a responsibility. The other thing I like to share here, some basics and fundamentals, is how many of you have had somebody come into your business and they say, you know, Jeff, I'm not a salesperson. Anyone? You know what I say? Great. You're just what I'm looking for. Because we're not looking for someone to sell the product, we're looking for someone to share the product. We're looking for someone to gift it. Hey guys, when I make my list, we have this little thing called a memory jogger. When I have a new person make the list, it's not who can we sell, who do you love? Who do you care about? Who can you help? A little different question. And here's how you get past the fear of rejection, and you go from realizing that you're the messenger, not the message. When you make the shift from your head to your heart, and it's not about me, 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 me. If you truly are gifting and coming from a servant's heart, and you're putting their needs ahead of your own, and you're truly focused on adding value to their lives and creating those raving fan relationships, all the fear of rejection should go away because you truly are coming from a place of love. You truly are putting their needs ahead of your own. But if you're focused on self, then that's where the fear comes. Does that make sense? Very powerful stuff. And I believe as your check grows, as your income grows, it's a measuring stick. As your income grows and your check grows, the bigger impact you've had, the bigger difference you've made on people's lives, the more lives you've touched with your product or your service or with your business. So the check is a measuring stick. The other thing I'll share with you is this. The third one is, how do you discipline your disappointments? You know, I can share with you this journey over the last 27 years, things that worked, things that didn't work. You know, there's been a lot of lessons, a lot of blessings, a lot of growth, a lot of adversity and things that I had to overcome. And there was some of the lessons were this. What do you think the number one reason people will fail in our industry? The number one reason people fail in our industry is they start to listen to negative people. How many of you have any negative family members out there? Show of hands. If you can get past your family, you'll become a millionaire in our business. My mom's still waiting for me to get a real job. I mean, there's really only about a dozen negative people out there now. They move around a lot. You got to watch out for these people, as Jim Rohn would say. But here's what I found. A great word to have in your vocabulary if you leave here tonight with something that I've shared with you is the word next. Next. You don't have to beg them. Say less to more people. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. It's called safety in numbers, the law of averages. How many of you watch baseball? Anybody know the game of baseball? How many of you got to raise your hand no matter what I say? How many of you like the idea of making money whether you work or not? Show of hands. How many like to stay at home and work in your underwear? How many like for your children to have wealthy parents? Okay. Baseball. Here's an example. In baseball, they get up there and they swing the bat. They strike out 7 out of 10 times. They only hit the ball 3 times out of 10. And they get paid over $4 million a year. You don't have to bat 1,000%. Here's what happens. We find ourselves, and I was guilty of this, where I'm begging people, family members, co-workers, neighbors, begging them to get on my product, begging them to get in my business. Versus, you know what? I put them on a drip list, and I keep moving forward. Say less to more. Safety in numbers. The greatest teacher of all times, when he was putting together his organization, not his top 5 or his top 10, his top 12. And he was teaching and training them before he sent them out into the streets. 2 by 2, word of mouth. And he said, 1 minute, gentlemen, before you go out there, not every home will be to your accord. Make sure you shake every grain of sand from your shoes before you leave. And when I heard that, I went, wow, what does that mean? What it meant was, it doesn't matter whether they buy your story. What matters is whether you buy their story. And this is what gets people. They start to get that stinking thinking, people that need a checkup from the neck up, right, as Zig would say, and they start to buy their story. And how do you deal with the no's, Jeff? How did you get past the no's? How did you talk to over 10,000 people that first year and went through all those no's and had that kind of work ethic and discipline and took a company that was doing less than $1 million a month to over $1 million a day in your first 3 years? How did you do that? How did you get past those no's? How did you have that level of why and that work ethic? I'll tell you how I got past the no's was this. I played a little game with myself. I realized I got paid, whether someone said yes or no, I got paid for telling the story. And the sale was a result. The cause was that I talked to people. So let's say you talk to 10 people. And out of 10 people, 9 people tell you no. Your product's no good. Your business is no good. You're no good. And how do you deal with those 9 no's? And now you got the one sale, the one yes that feels really good. And let's say as an example, on the one yes, you made $50. Instead of dividing the sale by 1, divide it by 10. And for every person you talk to, it was worth what? What was worth what? $5. Hey guys, I know it's getting late. I'm on the East Coast. It's already after 1. I'm wrapping it up soon. $5. So here's how Jeff got past it. I understood the cause was talking to people. The result was the one sale. What I got paid for, whether they said yes or no, it didn't matter. It was worth $5 a person. So let's say you're on the phone with somebody and you're telling them about your product or your business. And they say, you know what, Jeff, your product's no good, your opportunity's no good, and you're no good. I'd hang up the phone and say, thank you very much. I got your $5 anyway. And hang up the phone. It doesn't matter, right? How do you get past it? Some people say, well, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it. What part do you not get? The big money or the free time here? Help me. Help me out. What do you not get here? Some people you just got to say, next. How many of you have some distributors in your business that you feel like all you do is push them? You want it more for them than they want it for themselves. Yes? It's easier to give birth than raise the dead. It's easier to go out and get somebody that's got a fresh, warm market, a good, positive attitude, a baby distributor, a new freshman class. Nothing will ignite your business more than putting on 5 new frontline distributors, getting something new going on, some new blood in your business. It's easier to lead than it is to push. Old Chinese proverb, you know, there's a wet noodle on the table. It's easier to lead that noodle than push it. That's not funny either. You got to lead, getting something new. And you know what it'll do, leaders? It'll inspire your team. I have a lady, a school teacher named Cheryl Cortese that I recruited 20-some years ago. Multi-million-dollar earner, tens of millions of dollars. Single mom, scared, just had gone through a divorce. Came into this business. And Cheryl, you know, she got to a certain point in her business and she wanted to double her. She goes, Jeff, I want to take my check to the next level. And I said, Cheryl, you know what we got to do? We got to go back out and do what we did in the beginning that got you to where you are today. We're managing and working with this same group. Nothing will inspire your organization more than going out and putting on 5 new front lines, something new going on. And you know what happened at first? Some of her leaders were mad at her because they weren't the issue. What are you doing? You're over here working with somebody else and not focused on me? Years later? But you know what happened? It inspired them because they respected what she was doing, she was leading, and it inspired them to do the same. I've had people in my business, you know, that say, you know, they get this negative thinking, this negative self-talk. I had a lady come up to me and she goes, you know, Jeff, Mr. Positive, I can't get anyone to buy this product. And I said, okay, is there anything else I can help you with? She said, did you not hear me? She goes, I cannot get anyone to buy this product. I said, okay, is there anything else I can help you with? She goes, are you making fun of me? I said, no, you just told me you can't. I mean, you know the book, The Secret? Law of Attraction? Positive thinking? I said, if you're putting that out there, what the mind can conceive and believe it'll achieve, I wouldn't buy it. I had another lady come up to me, she goes, you know, Jeff, I'm a very happy person. I said, well, you might want to tell your face. I wouldn't buy from you. What happens is people start getting, if you went and saw a lousy movie, would you go see it 1,000 times over again? No. But some people play the same lousy record, same lousy movie in their head over and over again. You got to get yourself in a peak resourceful state. Change the focus, change the language, change the meaning. I've become a master of meaning, what things mean. Change the meaning, change your life. What something means to you in life is the emotional state that you're going to feel. And that's going to equal the quality of your life. I don't do depression. I choose happy. What's wrong in life is available, but guess what else is available? What's right in life? Right? Maybe life is not happening to me, maybe life is happening for me, right? You could take that and give it a different meaning. Things that used to bother me for 2 or 3 months, where I'd experience these negative emotions of anger or depression or whatever it was, I started to condense the time. I started developing these skills, and I got it down to 2 or 3 days. I got it down to 20, 30 minutes, and now it's 20, 30 seconds. I changed the meaning, I changed the language, I changed the focus, I changed my physiology, and I give it an empowering meaning and keep moving forward. The last thing I'll share with you is this. Last year was a very challenging year for me. in 2012. Things were going great, moving along, building all these markets, top of the world. Thought I was just invincible. Was down in the Bahamas, got cut up on some coral reef, didn't think anything of it, came back home and realized that I had gotten a bacteria in my blood. And I had what's called toxic shock syndrome, where your body goes septic, your vital organs. And God humbled me. He brought me to my knees. He got my attention. And I found myself in ICU, and I was fighting for my life. I was down to 10, 15% survival rate, and the doctor said to Joanna, we're going to have to put him in a coma. Put him on a ventilator, dialysis. We can't stop it. She went outside, made a phone call, and in our networks, your different companies that you're involved in, we've always talked about the company with a heart and our family. I didn't really know what that meant until I was sick. The amount of love and prayers and support that I felt from that organization, all those years of those relationships, the prayer groups, I believe saved my life. I really do. And Joanna had gone outside and begged the doctor not to put me in a coma. She went outside, made the phone call to one of our really strong Christian friends, and they had made the call. They had said a prayer, and she came back in, and the doctor said, this guy's a miracle man. We're not going to put him in a coma. He's starting to improve. And God said, you know what, Jeff? We're not done with you yet. There's a higher purpose. Don't you let your comfort get in the way of your calling. And I realized how important something is. You don't realize it until it's taken away. And when you don't have your health, it's a wake-up call. And my priorities, I have to be honest with you guys, my priorities have gotten a little screwed up over the years. I was always such an achiever and building and achieving. But when this happened, number one was spiritual life. That relationship was number one. Number two was family life. Business is still important, but it's not on the top. And that was a wake-up call. There was so much growth. The deepest pain that you go through in your life gives you the most growth. It makes you more. You grow from that, and it gives you more to give and to help someone else if you give it the right meaning. Remember what it means to you. I mean, it just was unbelievable to go through something like this and then to have a business. I had my best year ever last year, and I was sick on the sidelines. I had some of my distributors say, Jeff, maybe you should stay on the sidelines. The other big takeaway I had last year, Eric, was this. I had never missed a conference in 26 years. Here in the United States, over in Europe, I was always there, front row, playing full out, taking notes, leading by example. And I found myself where I couldn't go to conference. Doctor says you can't get on a plane. And I remember sitting in my office, and I felt like somebody just stuck a knife in me. And I was crying. And Joanne came in and she says, what is it? I said, I feel like I'm letting these people down. They're walking the stage. It's their moment, and I'm not there. I'm not there in Dallas. I'm not there in Rome. And I finally said, you know what, Jeff, you're better than this. What else could this mean? What lessons can you learn? What spiritual lessons? How can you grow from this? And I started asking some better quality questions, and I got some better quality answers. And I went to a total place of love and appreciation and gratitude, and I got the lesson. I'll never take the business and the conference for granted again, because it was taken away. And I realized this is where all the love is. This is where all the relationships, the emotional, the spiritual revenue. This is where you get to grow and contribute. This is, as a leader, you want to be involved in your business. You want to retire into your business, not from your business. You want to never forget where you came from. I'll never forget when I filled out that application and drove home crying from that conference, what it meant to me. I had one of the best experiences in my life last month. You talk about paying it forward. It was the proudest I'd ever been to be involved with this company. Our president and founder is based out of Memphis. He's a big supporter with St. Jude's, Volunteers of America, and also the Boys and Girls Club. And Jay built a technical training institute in Memphis for these kids in the inner city. And what he built this center for is where they could learn a skill, a trade, and they could get employment. And I thought, you know what, Jeff? I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club. That was my safe home. That's where I had friends and had role models after school and on the weekend and in the summer. I was a waiter. You know, this company's been good to me. And I called up Jay and I said, Jay, I want to get involved. And they have culinary, hospitality, logistics, automotive. And I said, I want to get involved. I said, I want to sponsor the 50 kids for your culinary program. And it was a commitment. It was $1,200 a kid. It was $60,000 a year. And I said, it's not one time, it's lifetime, Jay, I'm in. And I want to help you take this as a model and take it around the country. And I remember that first night we went to they have a dinner where the kids will prepare a meal and people can come in and have this meal that they serve, and they bring a celebrity chef in, and it's free. And they have a fundraiser dinner from this. And that first night when I went around and saw these kids and I saw the hope and the look in their eyes and the chance that they had, I went home that first night and I was crying. Joy and I were just crying our eyes out. And came back that next night. And Jay brought me up and said some nice things about me. And I remember having those kids standing there and I said, tonight you can make a donation. But tonight you could also just have a meal, but you could also make a friend. You could build a relationship. And it was one of the most proudest moments I had been ever in the 27 years with this company. Thank you. So I am on a big zero up here. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to have, if you guys would give Eric and Marina, if you guys would come on up stage and give them a big hand coming on up here. Come on up, guys. Got a little gift here for him. It's the thought more than the actual gift, but it says Network Marketing Pro, Las Vegas 2013. And I just want to acknowledge these two for playing at the level they play at and showing up as an example and the standards that they have. You know, it's very, very inspiring to me. And when Eric asked me to be part of this, I'd never done anything like this before. I said, Eric, absolutely. So I want to thank them, and let's give them a big hand. How much we appreciate them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, Jeff Roberti, everybody.